I want you to think back to a childhood experience. I'm going to use the example of learning to ride a bicycle. And they put that bicycle up to you and you looked at it and you go, oh, I don't know if I can. And then you got on that bicycle and you fell over. And you skint your knee, skint your elbow, cried, ran to mama. And a mama or daddy, whoever was teaching us smart, they wiped off your tears. They let you sniff it up a minute. And they said, okay, get back on. Because you're going like, what? And they made you get back on. You started all over again. And from that fear, that apprehension, a week later, you're like, Mama, Mama, can I go out and ride my bicycle? Mama, Mama. And those of us of my generation and older, bicycle was your main transportation all over town. It was a symbol of freedom. And once you mastered it, you were not going to let it go. That was the thing. Now, what I want you to think about is that transition from that hesitation, that fear, that, oh, I don't know, to all of a sudden you're at the other end of the spectrum. You're like, yeah. And then you're ready to teach somebody else and you're ready to go on further. So we have a lot of folks like that with Christianity. They look at Christianity, they start to understand what Christianity is really about, which is the crucible. And they look at it and go, oh, I don't know. I don't think I can do that. And then some of us, a few, get into it, get into the intensity of the training, get into the fire of the crucible, and we start seeing God really knew what he was doing. There's really stuff happening. I am reaching levels in my own personal development that I could have never, ever reached, when I was in my 20s or way back then when I was going, I don't know. But now I'm there, I'm putting myself into it. And I'm not saying we have a perfect track record. Don't misunderstand me. But I'm just saying you start experiencing things and you're like, there ain't no way I'm letting this go. I'm not going to quit. I like this. I want to keep it. So what we do is we finally discover that intense, that satisfaction, that deep enjoyment of what it means to be a Christian and diligently seek God, because it answers the deepest needs of our heart. And while I'm not giving up my Facebook, I'm well aware that Facebook will never answer the deepest needs of my heart. I don't care if you have 1 million followers on Facebook. My first question would be, how many of them do you really know? Well, 10 of them. Well, what about the others? I don't know. And if you don't put up good content, what are they going to do? They're going to quit following you, right? No, Facebook's okay, but that's not where you want to go. So you want to find this power of God. I'm not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God for salvation to everyone who believes, to the Jew first and also to the Greek second. So we all have our flops, our failures. Romans 3:23. That's where he says we've all sinned and fall short of the glory of God. And we do. James 3:2 would be another good one to put up there. We stumble in many things. That's a great verse. If you're taking notes, write that one down. But God offers us what I'm going to call the impossible. Now, I had to put it in quotation notes because it is possible through God, because it is the power of God for salvation. And what he gives us is a new start. If, highlighted that one, we're in Christ, we're a new creature. The old things have passed away, and behold, new things have come. And we start learning anew. We start like a baby on a bottle. That's not real flattering when you're already an adult when you convert. But I'm sorry, you got to start on a baby bottle. And then you start working up, and eventually you get to the meat that Hebrews 5, about verse 12 and 14, would talk about. So we have this awesome path, this wondrous thing, and wisdom said, I'm going to make it easy for you. Well, let me clarify that in just a second. I'm going to make it easy so you understand the instruction and the training. The training itself is really, really hard. But to understand the instruction, as Christ said, at that time Jesus said, I praise you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, that you have hidden these things from the wise, the intelligent, and revealed them to infants. Yes, Father, for this way was well-pleasing in your sight. So let me give you a real quick example. 2 Timothy 2:15. They'll study or be diligent to show yourself approved to God, a workman need not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. How many of you have any trouble at all comprehending what that verse says when it says, be diligent to show yourself approved to God? Anybody confused yet? Rightly dividing the word of truth. You got that, right? It's just as easy as a recipe that says add a cup of sugar. Anybody got a problem with that one? No, not at all. Now, how easy is it to actually engage that instruction And be diligent to show yourself approved to God. A workman need not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Now we got a whole other ball game going on. But the instruction, the way forward, he that believeth and is baptized should be saved. Well, that's simple enough. I've got that one. Diligently seek God. Without faith, it's impossible to please him. So on and so forth. It is written for the average person like you and me so that we can get what God wants, which is really pretty simple, and excel. Absolutely excel. God is not trying to keep you out. He is not trying to make it difficult for you to get in. You are his offspring according to Acts 17:26 through 28, and he wants you united with him so much that he gave his only begotten son, John 3:16. He wants you in. He's not trying to keep you out. He wants you involved. He wants you engaged. Later on, we may talk about John 17, about verse 22, 23, where he says he wants us to be united with him as Jesus and God are united together. That's how much he wants us in. So we have the simple plan, but we're kind of back to the bicycle example, aren't we? We're looking at it and we're going, yeah, but I don't know. You know, we're apprehensive. We're afraid we're going to get hurt. And you are. That's just part of it. Take up your cross and follow me. That's part of it. Okay, let me do another quick analogy. You want to learn to box. Say, okay, that's a great idea. There's a great boxing coach down on such and such street. Okay, but I don't want to get hit. Wait a minute. You want to box, but you don't want to get hit. Yeah, I'm afraid somebody will punch me. Sorry, that's kind of what boxing does, right? I spar, but they can't touch me when we spar. No, you're going to get hurt. But anybody who wants to can get in if they'll keep their focus. So we have Paul's simple desire. He said, I came to you, brethren. I did not come with superiority of speech or wisdom, proclaiming you the testimony of God. I determined to know nothing among you except Jesus Christ and him crucified. It was a simple message. Message, you got to be simple. You got to keep it down there where I want the average sixth grader to be able to sit in the audience and go, I think I got that. Now, I realize there's some tough stuff. We'll talk about that in a second. But I want the average sixth grader to be able to go, okay, I think I got that message. And you know what? I'm surprised how much they do listen, because sixth graders can multitask at levels I can't. And they look like they're not paying attention. And on the way out, they tell you what you preached. I'm like, how do you do that? You don't do that at 60 plus, right? So God is trying to get you in. He's trying to get you in. He's trying to give you simple enough language. Now, there's got to be a learning curve here. You can't have it all. You know, this is a 1. This is an A. It can't all be that simple. But he created us at a level where we could accept it. So people go, yeah, but some of it's tough. And you're right. Some of it is tough. And you're never going to unravel all of it. Book of Revelation. Some people love the book of Revelation. That's fine. You're never ever going to explain it all, because there are only like 162 different theories about what the book of Revelation means. And no matter what you do with it, somebody's always going to go, you're wrong, you didn't get it. And they're going to think they're the ones that got it. There's some tough stuff there. Now, if you want to mess with Revelation, that's your business. But I really want you to feed on the things you understand. I want you to feed on the parts that you can get. And that's not that hard. What did he say? Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth. Boy, I wonder what that means. That is really cryptographic language, isn't it? No, it means quit talking ugly to people. Okay. No problem there, right? Let's see, what is it? Ephesians, is it 5:18? Be not drunk. Well, I don't know, preacher. That's a real tough one. What do you think he means there? I think it means don't go out and get lit. Come on, this is easy enough. You got a drinking problem? Quit drinking. Husbands, love your wife as Christ loved the church. Nurture and cherish her as your own flesh. This isn't rocket science here. I don't think any of it's rocket science in what he wants us to do. Now, are there theological concepts that are tough? Amen. Book of Revelation, understanding how God can be 3 in 1 at the same time, the Trinity as we refer to it. Yeah, there's some tough stuff there. What happens after we die? How does that really work? I had somebody ask me once, if you're on the first floor at the hospital and you die, do you see the second floor and the third and the fourth as you ascend to heaven? And I'm like, I don't know. I haven't died on the first floor at a hospital yet. Now, the problem is, if I do die on the first floor, and I do discover the answer, I can't tell you. I'm like kind of dead, right? So feed on the things you understand. Go ahead and study the other things. I don't want to put you off of those. But keep discovering new depths in your own personal development. Unwrap it. Dig deeper. And it keeps changing. So let me use this analogy, and I'll be really careful. But Sharon and I are coming up on 46 years of marriage. The command to nurture and cherish her as your own flesh still stands. But I'm going to say, with a little hesitation, because, anytime you go into this area, you're like, oh. The way I nurture and cherish her today has changed in flavor as it was the day we got married and the first year of our marriage and the before kids stage of marriage, right? And then after we had kids, that nurture and cherish had to take on a little different attitude. And then the kids finally moved out. And then you got the house back to yourself. And then you got grandkids. And then we're starting to get into our senior years. And that keeps changing. And so when I say dig in, unwrap it, dig deeper, I got the exact same instruction. My instruction to nurture and cherish my wife as my own flesh never ever changes. 2,000 years old. But my relationship is evolving. And I have to dig in. And I have to apply myself to, okay, here we are now, mid-60s. How does this verse work here? As opposed to when we are mid-20s. You get the idea. And it works like that on a lot of different levels. So we just keep on going. We keep on digging deeper. And we don't let, the fear of the bicycle thing get in the way. We're just, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be the best I can. I'm going to be a trick rider. It's infinite. Just enjoy it. Just keep going and going and going, because you are never, ever, ever going to figure out the infinity of God. You got 3 pounds of gray matter. This is the most awesome computer that exists on the planet. I like ChatGPT. I think it's pretty cool. But it's not as cool as this right here. And we have about 70 of these in the auditorium. And as awesome as these are, and if we could hook them up somehow together, we will still never get the infinity of God. And that's good, because there's always something new. And that makes life an adventure. I like that. I want you to be aware of sophistry. Peter had to worry about this back in 2 Peter 3:16. So he's referring to Paul when he says also in all his letters. That's a reference to Paul. Speaking to them these things, in which some things hard to understand. Agreed. Some things are hard to understand. And the untaught and unstable distort those difficult things, and they distort the rest of the scriptures also. You've got to learn to know the scriptures so well that when you smell a rotten egg, you know it's a rotten egg. When you smell or feel something that's counterfeit, you know, hey, this isn't lining up right. And that's back to 2 Timothy 2:15. So I want you fitting in with Christ and others. I think that's wonderful. He opened his mouth. Peter said, I most certainly understand now that God is not one to show partiality, but in every nation, the man who fears him and does what is right is welcome to him. So again, God's trying to get you in. God's trying to get everybody on. I know there's a little apprehension at the front. And now and then it's with the men. I get this mostly, they're really wanting to convert. They're really wanting to be part of the local work. And one of the questions we get about half of the time from the men is, I'm not going to have to get up in front of people, am I? And my answer is no, not until you're ready. Not really a full answer, is it? But that's the way we go with that one. So anybody, he wants them all in. I know there's going to be some things that make you nervous, but come on in, start learning to ride that bike, start getting it done, and don't start judging other people. I love this is a meme I picked up off Facebook just 3 days ago. Don't hate me just because I sin different than you. Ooh, isn't that good? I think that's awesome. Because he said, the man who fears him and does what is right. All you need is a penitent heart. Now, I want to elaborate on this one just a little bit. I hope not too long. But I want to make this clear. God is not looking at your sin going, oh, that one's too bad. If you'll let it go, he'll take you in. It does not matter. Has a person been into homosexual activity in our society? We really dog that one really bad, as though that is the worst sin ever. So what? If you're penitent, if you'll do right, God will take you in. End of story. Don't hate a homosexual just because he sinned different than you. Oh, but this woman cheated on their mate. Okay, that's wrong. I get it. Adultery's bad. If they're penitent, they're back in. You get where we're going? Don't be judged. Oh, he's a drunkard. My dad was an alcoholic. I ain't got nothing to do with alcoholics. And you're wrong. Because if they'll be penitent, God will take them in. Whoever does what is right is welcome to him. Are you following me? So I was never a homosexual. I never cheated on my wife. I was never a drunkard. Never did this, never did that. You line up all the nevers you did. And before long, wow, you must be an angel in disguise. But I know better because Romans 3:23 said all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. I don't care if your sin is just that you lied to your mama, your daddy. I'll be in at 10. You showed up at 11 and you started lying through your teeth to justify why you were an hour late and didn't want them to take your car keys away, right? You know the game. Because all liars have their part in the lake that burns with fire and brimstone, right? But all I did was lie to mom when I was 18. And, I did lie to the boss a time or two. I called in sick when I really wasn't sick, so on and so forth. But that doesn't make me bad as a homosexual, does it? Well, quit playing that game. Don't play the comparison game. If you're guilty of sin, James 2:10 says, you keep the whole law, stumble on one point, what happens? You're guilty of all. Don't be judging folks. We're here to get folks in. We're a hospital for the sick. Don't care where they're coming from as long as they are penitent. Now, if somebody walks in the door and says, hey, I'm gay and I want you to endorse my lifestyle. So, pardon me for being blunt, but I'm like, you see that door you just came in? When you can go out and come back in with a penitent heart, we'll talk. But I'm not here to endorse your nasty mouth or your alcoholism or your abuse of your mate or your abuse of your kids or you're lazy. I get to sit around and do nothing. I don't have to study my Bible because that's what we prayed you for, preacher. I'm not here to endorse any of that nonsense. But if you're penitent, what did God say? I don't care. If you fear him and you do what's right, come on in. We'll make this work. Something to think about, isn't it? And there are situations that will make you think. So don't hate people just because they sin different than you. Don't get all uppity on us like that. So Jesus prayed, the glory which you've given me, I've given to them, that they may be one just as we are one. I in them and you in me, that they may be perfect in unity, so that the world may know that you sent me and loved them, even as you have loved me. Now notice that they may be one, just as we're one. That's scary. Because to be one with God, he's not going to change to accommodate me. I have to change to accommodate him. That's back to my bicycle analogy. Change is scary. Everybody hates change. Most people don't run into change unless it's really, really, really positive. But otherwise, we push back against change. And now he's calling me to change so that I can learn to be one with him. And I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to ride that bicycle. Yeah, I do want to ride that bicycle because I can see what it offers on the other side. But I know I'm going to stumble and fall. I'm going to scrape my knees, my elbows. I'm going to run crying to somebody sometime because this is hard. This means give up your agenda and totally take on God's agenda. Or to be like Christ, he said, I came down from heaven to do the will of my Father, not my own will. Or John 4, where he says, my food is to do the will of him who sent me. This is what he's calling us to do, because we can't get one with God until we've given up everything that keeps us from God. Ow. You really want to get on that bicycle? Absolutely get on that bicycle. So we have the rewards of faith beyond our earthly gain. There's too many people looking at earthly gain. We're looking for something different. I'm going to give you the peace that passes understanding in Philippians 4, 6, and 7. And so what you're going to do to get this is you're going to trust God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and you're just going to go. Now, I don't have a problem with this, and some of you might, but in your prayers, I'm fine with God. I don't have a clue what's going on here. I don't understand anything. I don't even know what you got planned. But as long as I have you, it's okay. I know you know what's going on. You know the training I need. You know the situations I need. You know what I need to be going through in my life right now at this time. I'm totally putting my trust in you. That's the way that has the peace, to have the peace that passes understanding. That's going to be your gain beyond earthly gain. Don't go to God hoping you get a job promotion. Don't go to God hoping you get to make 100,000 a year. That's not what Christ came for. And so don't lay all that aside. Look beyond the present with the eyes of faith that see God's eternal plan. He's trying to get us to move in with Him for eternity. But He can't let anything evil in with Him, or He's no longer the pristine, perfect God that we would want. That's a scary bicycle to get on. I don't know how to. I haven't had that kind of hardness in my life personally. I've had death of loved ones in the appropriate time, lost a brother when he was 20. I've had some difficulties, but whew, there are things yet ahead and potential things that could happen. And do you really? I don't know. Do I really have the faith that says, Lord, I want to ride that bicycle. But if you decided it's time for me to learn it, I'm going to learn it. I'm going to do it because my faith is totally in you. Now, let me flesh that out just a bit more so it hits home a little harder. I know we tease, you get older, you tease about death, and the grandkids go, y'all are weird. No, we're getting old. We know what's going to happen. So I got to outlive my wife because she says I can't die first. Actually, she said something threatening. I wish I could remember it. Something about if you die first. Of course, I quit listening then because I'm like, I'm dead. What are you going to do? But anyway, still. And I know some of you have been there, and I haven't. There's going to be a day where one of us looks at the other, and the doctor has said, I'm sorry, they're gone. What funeral home do you want us to call? When you got married, one of you is going to face that. That's hard. Can you still say when you're in the middle of that, okay, God, this is the bicycle you chose for me to ride at this time, and you know I'm ready for it. Let me make it a step further. You get the call. Your grandbaby, they just found out has stage 4 cancer. And that grandbaby you thought was going to grow up and live this life and give you great grandkids now has 6 months to live. Can you do that? I don't know. I've not been there. But can you get on your knees and pour your heart out to God and in the end say, not my will, but thy will be done. God, you know what you're doing. This is the last bicycle I ever wanted to ride, but I'm getting on it because you said this is time. This is when I say overcoming fear and living in freedom, it can get tough. So you got to rise above the dread. I can do all things through Him who strengthens me. And that's an easy verse to just glib out there and quote. No. Can I do all things through Him who strengthens? Oh, I can say it all day long. I preached so many times I can say it in my sleep. Probably do it. You'd ask Sharon. It's tough. I want you to get to the end of the day, be good and tired at the end of the day, and sit down and go, whew, I'm glad this day's over. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Get to a good tired. Good tired's great for you. And then look forward to tomorrow. I'm going to give me a good night's sleep. We got tomorrow coming. This is going to be good. I want you to learn to enjoy a sense of accomplishment in everything you do, whether it's little bitty stuff. Look, if it's just maintenance, I don't know. I want to be real trivial here. She needed her gas tank filled. I filled up her tank. Okay. I get a little sense of accomplishment. Everybody knows I'm not a great yard man. I don't get up in the morning and go, wow, I get to cut grass today. And I told an acquaintance that one day, and she said, well, look at the sense of accomplishment on the other side of it. I thought, you're an idiot. I got out and cut my grass, and guess what was on the other side of it? There really was a sense of accomplishment. I'm like, well, that's kind of cool. I need to tell her that incidentally. But in everything, whatever you're doing, look beyond. Rise above the dread. You got to go through life anyway, so get with it. I don't want it to be just another day closer to the grave. I mean, it's true. We're a day closer than we were yesterday. But that's a hard way to live. But if I can learn to mount a bicycle, whatever one God's given me, gets me up to, what is that you just got, an 18 speed? Man, that's a lot of bicycle right there. But if God says it's time for you to learn to ride at 18 speed, and we're in high gear this time. Yeah, that's it. So we have a light that's guiding us through, and it's the Father of mercies. He's the God of all comfort. That's 2 Corinthians 1, 3 through 5. I'm not going to read the whole thing right now, but he's there. And so 3 quick points on the Father of mercies and the God of all comfort. It speaks to your heart, doesn't it? Isn't that what you want? I mean, tough times are going to come, and you're not going to stop them. If you can, do, please. But you can't stop them. Life rolls on. I need comfort in that time. And I get it in various ways. He offers forgiveness because James 3:2, we all stumble in many things. So, yes, I was baptized many years ago, and I still do dumb things. That's life. I hope for the future. I don't get Jehovah's Witness and the grave is the dead cold end. I don't get that. That's their business, but I want something longer. I want something bigger. So in the banquet of life, God's word is the main course. Man should not live by bread alone, but every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. So don't be like that child throwing a fit, resisting. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. And trust God. Because when you trust God, He's going to take you to another level, a higher place. And when you get over there and you get kind of acclimated to it, you're going to be like, oh, yeah. You're never, ever going to want to go back to where you were. And so my encouragement to you is to dive in, heart first. Total trust in God that He's got it. And as long as you follow His lead, it's all going to be good. And it is. The thing is, I've got to bring my faith to the table. That's the bottom line. So we're getting ready to sing, Jesus, I Come. Do you? Are you really bringing it all to Him and laying it on the altar? As we sometimes say, at the foot of Jesus' cross. If you are, stay the course. If you hadn't started yet, our baptistry's ready. If you've wondered and feel you need the prayers of the congregation, we're here to help however we can while together we stand and sing.